As a constitutional law attorney, former senior legal advisor, and personal counsel to President Donald J. Trump, Jenna Ellis believes in the rule of law and the importance of integrity in our elections. And she's ready to tackle the big cultural and legal issues facing America. This is the Jenna Ellis Show. Here is your host, Jenna Ellis.
With inflation, the banking world collapse, and everything that Joe Biden is doing not to protect America, you need to make sure to secure your financial health, especially in retirement. And hey, if you're a millennial like me, that actually is sooner than you think. You need to start now, even if you are a millennial or a Gen Zer, to make sure that your financial health is actually healthy when we get to retirement. And Legacy Precious Metals has a revolutionary new online platform that allows you to invest in gold and silver online in real time. In a few easy steps, you can open an account online, select your metals of choice, and choose to have them stored in a vault or shipped right to your door. You'll have access to a dashboard where you can track your portfolio growth in real time anytime. You'll see transparent pricing on each coin and bar, and this puts you in complete control of your money. The platform is free to sign up for. Visit legacypminvestments.com and open your account and see this new investing platform for yourself. Gold hedges against inflation and against a volatile stock market. A truly diversified portfolio isn't just more stocks and bonds, but different asset classes. This brand new platform allows you to make investments in gold and silver, no matter how small or large, with just a few clicks. Visit legacypm.com to get started. You can download the free investor's guide, and you can also call Legacy PM Investments to talk to a portfolio expert to get expert answers to to customize your personal portfolio. So visit legacypminvestments.com to get started. Tell them that Jenna sent you.
Hi, I'm Ron Coleman. I'm sitting in for Jenna today. I got the call that there was a naval issue. That's right, a naval issue, a nautical issue, preventing Jenna from joining you today, and that I was being pressed into service. And I was told to rant about anything I wanted for 20 minutes. Well, that sounds like fruit that's hanging a little bit too low. Let me tell you what I mean. We all understand that everything is going to hell, right? All around us, we see the inversion of every traditional value. The literal promotion of unsafe streets as a policy goal. The erosion of democratic and legal standards. From what I hear, the movies are really lousy. I don't go to the movies much, but people seem to complain about the movies a lot. China. Cost of living, super high. Interleague baseball. They're really going to go through with this. They've been going through with it for a while, and they're not stopping. These are problems. Any one of these would be absolutely appropriate for a 20-minute rant. But you hear that all the time, don't you? Let's take a different perspective. It is very easy to forget what an extraordinary time we live in. Let me give you some examples. Medicine alone. Gene therapy. This was stuff that my dad, of blessed memory, used to talk about as the future. Gene therapy. It's happening now. Access to information technology in the medical profession. Doctors are able to get their hands on sources of information about everything relating to the treatment of a patient, the diagnosis of a patient, instantaneously. When I was a kid, Captain Kirk would, on a really hard question, if there was something that he and Mr. Spock didn't know, usually the doctor did. There's a lot he didn't know. But if it was Mr. Spock or Captain Kirk, if they washed out, they would ask the computer. And the computer, lady's voice, would think and look into things and come back with sort of an AI chat kind of response. All right, this is supposed to be in gazillions of years from now, right? That's what our life is like now, and it's being used in medicine. There's been a 40% reduction in heart disease deaths, and I don't think you can appreciate just how meaningful that is unless you're around my age, and I am 60 years old. People used to just drop dead from heart attacks. Doctors didn't know if people had heart conditions, and there was much they could do for people with heart conditions. Heart problems are just not the kind of threat that they were, even though everyone's bigger and fatter and largely in worse shape than when I was growing up. You've got adult stem cell research and therapies, incredible targeted cancer treatments, minimally invasive and robotic surgery. You can't take this stuff for granted. It's amazing. We live in amazing times. They have these functional technologies and other things that they do with MRI where they can see what's going on kind of in your brain. Not really what's going on, but what kind of things are going on. Advances in neurology are phenomenal. And ironically, after all the things that I just listed, COVID was a blessing in disguise for many reasons, because COVID demonstrated to us just how stupid doctors can be. For all the great leading edge stuff that's going on in the world, COVID showed us that doctors are much more like Frank Burns than we thought, and much less like Hawkeye Pierce than we thought. And that's a good thing, because they're down to earth. We realize that they are subject to the same groupthink and the same fear of nonconforming and all the other human weaknesses that perhaps a lot of us thought they weren't subject to. That's a good thing. Let them keep doing amazing things, but let's be realistic about who they are. That's just medicine. I don't know much about medicine, but I do know this. I don't have to find a phone booth anymore. I don't have to wonder where people that I'm looking for are, hardly ever. I'm able to carry around with me a supercomputer, or what would be regarded as a supercomputer, everywhere, that's available to me virtually all the time to communicate with lots and lots of people. You don't know what it's like to not have a dime for a phone call, or a quarter, a nickel's before my time. To be standing in front of a bank of payphones and not be able to make a call. LED lights. Did you ever think about LED lights? That's a new thing. They're amazing. Venmo, PayPal. Okay, so you don't like PayPal. You want to get involved in boycotting. You can pay anyone, anytime, using the magic. Haircut, furniture assembly, whatever it is you need. Cloud computing. Do you remember having to having to save things constantly, and then you would save them onto a floppy disk in case your computer crashed? Because if it crashed, you were never going to see that stuff ever again. There's no reason for that to be part of anyone's life anymore. Now, by the way, computers. There weren't personal computers when I was growing up. There were certain things that was good for in terms of work habits and discipline, but the ability of a person to be efficient and to produce incredible work, whether it's in writing a book, writing an article, making a podcast video, is phenomenal. We take it for granted. We live in amazing times. Ride-sharing apps. They can be frustrating sometimes, but compared to finding out, I used to do a lot of business travel, and you would sometimes get into a fairly lonely airport, and there might not always be a cab waiting for you there. You'd have to find out what were the local car services. How are you going to get to the hotel? Not anymore. There's also a level of accountability for everything now because of social networking. And in fact, the whole world of social networking is phenomenal. We take it for granted, but the opportunity that it has provided for so many people with no gatekeeping or little gatekeeping. Unbelievable. These are incredible times. Online shopping. There are even YouTube videos, free YouTube videos that can teach you how to do anything. This afternoon, when I leave work, I'm going to go home and learn how to operate an arc welder. I understand it's actually pretty easy. Look, things change. Standards change. Society has, in many respects, gotten more coarse, moral values, as I said in the beginning, have fallen apart. Leadership, think of who we consider leaders in our day and age. There are so many things to worry about if you worry. You don't have to worry. It's easy to forget just how amazing the world is that we live in today. The vast majority of what we see on the internet, on Twitter, in podcasts, the things that are worrying us, they're real problems. And we lived through that COVID period. That was an historic event where real problems, real dysfunction of government, medicine, the judiciary, corporations, really just about everything failed. But most of us are still here. And every generation has its era. And every era has its catastrophes. Sometimes the catastrophes are known. Sometimes they're not known. We have the ability today to know more about the possibly catastrophic aspects of our lives and what others would have our lives become than ever before. It's amazing. Have some perspective. Listen to an old man. Have some perspective. I'll tell you some things I don't miss. I don't miss phone booths because I'll tell you something. Besides needing money to operate them, they weren't always so clean smelling. I don't miss gatekeepers. I can publish. I can write. I can speak. I can't make you listen to me. But I don't need anyone's permission to get my words out there and my ideas, to challenge authority. You know what I don't miss? Running out of film. Developing film. Printing pictures. Getting reprints. I can take a picture of anything, anywhere, anytime, and I do. Do you know that when I was growing up, you needed to ask the phone company for permission to add an additional phone to your house? In other words, you had a phone in the kitchen. You wanted to add a phone to the bedroom. You had to place an order with the phone company to come and install an extra phone in the bedroom. And they would then charge you for that extra phone, not an extra line, not an extra number, same phone number, another headset. Yes, in my lifetime. You know what I don't miss? Rust. Cars used to rust like crazy. They hardly rust at all anymore. Okay, so you find it hard to afford a car now. But what a car does now? The things a car does now, including have working air conditioning, including having working clocks. When I was a kid, and I mean through my teenage years, through my early adult years too, virtually no clock in a car ever worked. It was just understood that electrical clocks in cars didn't work. Now your car is a rolling computer. I mentioned air conditioning. Buses, trains, everything's air conditioned now. Now, that might come at some cost, but it was pretty lousy when there was no air conditioning on the subway. It was pretty lousy when there was no air conditioning in stores. Everything's air conditioned now. That's actually pretty good because when it's hot, it's not very nice out. But you know what is nice? The atmosphere. When I grew up, every apartment building in New York City had an incinerator. It was very simple. It was a big fire pit at the bottom of a chute. And every night after dinner, you'd take a paper bag and throw your garbage in the pit, and the garbage would be burned up completely. You wouldn't need landfills. You wouldn't need trash compactors. But there was soot everywhere. Do you realize how much cleaner our air and land, our air and water are now? I hate to give credit to the environmental movement as such, but something had to be done, and it was done, and things are better. If you don't remember the 60s and 70s, much less the 50s, I wasn't around in the 50s, you're not going to appreciate this point. In fact, this was also a local concern. People used to smoke everywhere. I mean everywhere. There were smoking sections of buses, airplanes, movie theaters. How much good do you think a smoking section did if you were in the non-smoking section? Not much. Everybody smoked. Everybody smelled of smoke. It wasn't healthy. It was stinky. Some problems are very real and very serious, and having a good attitude and perspective are not going to make them go away. And there are a couple of things I think that we do have to do, every one of us, to get through this challenging time. I'm being serious here now. If you have children that were still in school, you should probably look very seriously into taking them out of public school. Also, not putting them into a mainstream private school. They're every bit as bad. Same thing with colleges. You're going to send a kid to college, all those brand names. Look, I got brand names, okay? Northwestern, Princeton, those are nice schools to go to in the 80s. These places are completely off the table now. Forget how much they cost, and forget what a racket that cost is. It's a racket. These are not nonprofits. People are making serious bank running these schools. They're intolerable places for people with decent values. Take better care of yourself. I finally started to. You can't live a sedentary lifestyle. You're not going to be happy with yourself, especially as you get older. Do you want to be one of those people that they drive around the mall in the air or around the airport in a golf cart? I'll answer that for you. No. Above all, clarify your values and beliefs. Ask yourself why any of this matters at all. If you don't believe in God or in eternity, then none of these things that are going kablooey should bother you, because they don't matter. These are all just arbitrary reactions, arbitrary chemical and biological phenomena, and they don't matter. If you do believe in God, then you understand that we do have an obligation to take care of ourselves and to do what we can, but that God runs the world, and getting super upset isn't gonna help. Also, I guess I should have put this before the last one, but stop reacting to every little bit of news. Oh no, look who Elon hired. You don't have to have a take every single second. You don't have to come to a conclusion every minute. You don't have to boycott. You don't have to quit. You don't have to jump off the bridge. Let things play out. Even if you have trouble with eternity and divinity, have a little bit of a long-term perspective. After all, I'm only going 20 minutes today. Wasn't that easy? Thanks for joining me. I hope I have the opportunity to speak to you again. I'm Ron Coleman. I have my own podcast. It's called Coleman Nation, coleman-nation.com. I'm also on Twitter at Ron Coleman. And I thank you very much for joining today with me on the Jenna Ellis Show.
With inflation, the banking world collapse, and everything that Joe Biden is doing not to protect America, you need to make sure to secure your financial health, especially in retirement. And hey, if you're a millennial like me, that actually is sooner than you think. You need to start now, even if you are a millennial or a Gen Zer, to make sure that your financial health is actually healthy when we get to retirement. And Legacy Precious Metals has a revolutionary new online platform that allows you to invest in gold and silver online in real time. In a few easy steps, you can open an account online, select your metals of choice, and choose to have them stored in a vault or shipped right to your door. You'll have access to a dashboard where you can track your portfolio growth in real time anytime. You'll see transparent pricing on each coin and bar, and this puts you in complete control of your money. The platform is free to sign up for. Visit legacypminvestments.com and open your account and see this new investing platform for yourself. Gold hedges against inflation and against a volatile stock market. A truly diversified portfolio isn't just more stocks and bonds, but different asset classes. This brand new platform allows you to make investments in gold and silver, no matter how small or large, with just a few clicks. Visit legacypm.com to get started. You can download the free investor's guide, and you can also call Legacy PM Investments to talk to a portfolio expert to get expert answers to your to customize your personal portfolio. So visit legacypminvestments.com to get started. Tell them that Jenna sent you.
Have you ever picked up a towel set because it felt so soft in the store, but then when you leave and you go to use it, it's not really that absorbent? It's basically a towel that is leaving you out to dry. That's why MyPillow has developed the MyPillow towels that actually work. I know, it's totally mind-blowing. Towels that actually dry you. Their 6-piece towel set includes 2 bath towels, 2 hand towels, and 2 washcloths. They come in a variety of colors. I have the sage green and the white. I love them. And right now you can receive a 6-piece set for only $39.98 with promo code Jenna. That's JENNA. So go to mypillow.com right now and click on the radio listeners special. MyPillow products come with a 10-year warranty and have a 60-day money-back guarantee. So to receive this amazing offer on the 6-piece towel set of MyPillow towels, just go to mypillow.com, click on the radio listener special, and enter promo code Jenna, that's JENNA, or call 1-800-564-8475. That's mypillow.com, promo code Jenna.
Hi, friends. This is Jenna Ellis, and I'm the host of the Jenna Ellis Show on the Salem Podcast Network. And joining me is one of my favorite people to talk to about economic issues and investments. And, our great partnership with Legacy Precious Metals is Charles Thorngren, who, of course, is the president and CEO. And Charles, I wanted to have this conversation with you about CBDC, which is Central Bank Digital Credit. I am just becoming aware of this issue and how the feds right now are saying, I don't know, we're definitely not doing this, but they are, of course, they're contemplating some of these efforts. And Governor DeSantis, actually out of Florida, has proposed legislation. I'm not exactly sure where it is in the process right now, but I think it'll go through. It must be in the process because the session ends in just a couple of weeks. But basically saying that under the Uniform Commercial Code in Florida, the state of Florida would reject any transactions that are done in any kind of centralized, federal digital credit, which is a way to protect Americans, our privacy, and ultimately the value of the dollar. So I think that's a great thing. I'm just starting to learn about this, but first, what exactly is central bank digital credit, and what do you think about it?
Great question, and it's also I don't say a scary question. It's a very unfocused question because we're talking blockchain now. Are we talking blockchain like Ethereum? Or are we talking blockchain like Bitcoin? So there's a lot that needs to be digested. And from just a general purpose, I would be opposed to it. And I don't like to make big comments like that when it's such a broad subject, but our central banks have a specific job. It's not to create a new currency, it's to manage the one we have. That first and foremost, okay? So the Federal Reserve needs to focus on that. The Treasury Department needs to focus on that. We have a currency already. What scares me about a digital currency is that the whole purpose of a digital currency was to remove banking and government influence. It was a means of transaction. Okay, so we're taking what is meant to be more of a private asset and we're making it worse than non-private, we're making it governmental. So for me, when we have this concept, the first question that comes to mind is how do we regulate the amount of coins the government's releasing? We have no way to know. We already deal with that a little bit now in our own currency. Most currency we have is not actual bills that are printed. It's zeros sent to banks saying you have this much money now. Okay, but there is an accountability to it to a degree that I don't think you'll have with a digital platform. Second big problem, digital accounts get hacked all the time. All the time. And as a classic example, look at the IRS. The amount of fraud in the IRS is astronomical when it comes time for income tax returns. Almost 30% of all the returns are wrong, sent to the wrong person. And that's one time a year, not every day.
This sounds like, the universal vote by mail and how all of these ballots were going to the wrong people. And it's like, you guys, this was your one moment of the year. It's like Santa delivering presents to all the wrong people. It's like you had one job, but when you say in the beginning, and I think rightly so, that asking, what is digital credit is kind of this shotgun blast sort of question, because we don't actually know what we're dealing with yet. And how does this differentiate from some of these other things like Bitcoin? Is it just that it is from the feds? And then there are so many other constitutional implications to that I think are very fascinating, because, the federal government is the only one that can coin money under the U.S. Constitution. So what exactly are we dealing with, and what is, as you said, the standard of valuation, and what does that look like? And when we're talking, though, just then hypothetically in this space about the digital side of this, a lot of people are very concerned with the privacy element. Is that really any different than what we have in, as you mentioned, we don't transact in paper money much anymore. So is that really any different than the banking system right now, except that we have a private organization that is a shield from the government?
Great question. And there's a yes to some of that, and there's a no to some of that. We have that private corporation because most of us who use our cards, they have a Visa or a MasterCard logo on there. That's your third party corporation interacting between all of the players of that transaction. So that's good. In a digital currency, you would not have that. It would be the government. Now, understand when we say this, the government monitoring it, which can be good, but that also means the government will track every transaction you make. They have to. You have no privacy left. The problem with a digital currency is that you do not have the option. You won't have the option of carrying cash, paying for something in cash. You have to willingly give up your right for privacy. That's a scary thing. I'm not saying that the government would do something wrong with it, but what I'm saying is you have no way to safeguard that they can't.
Right.
And that's
And
the
we've all
problem.
learned not to trust the government so well when it comes to issues of privacy. So when we're talking about potentially the government wanting to go to a different type of valuation of currency, and a different currency altogether, how should then investors contemplate their own portfolios in terms of, diversification of assets, and how would that be interrelated, like with what Legacy Precious Metals does in terms of saying, well, there are gold and precious metals that actually have value. Does this change the equation?
It really doesn't. I look at gold and silver as the original alternate currency. It was the original thing that you did so that you were not stuck in a currency, right? You weren't stuck in dollars. You had assets outside of dollars. They were worth dollars. You can transact with them, but they weren't dollars themselves. And this is part of the allure of precious metals when you look at it, especially in these times, right? We have inflation. It's rampant. It's not going away anytime soon. Don't listen to the traders on Wall Street. We are not cutting rates. It's not going to happen, right? When you have precious metals, every time that dollar gets weaker due to inflation, your purchasing power is gone, your metals go up in value. That's the offset. And I think what you have is, when we talk about digital currencies and whether the government should be in, they're looking for a way to deal with the currency problem we have. And we have a massive one. But putting it into an aspect where it's hackable, traceable, and difficult to understand where it gets its valuation, that's never going to be the answer. Now, we as private citizens, we have that option, and it's going to be precious metals. So those of us who are worried about that scenario, we can say, okay, I'm going to protect myself with the metals, and I have something that's not trackable, fully transactable, and transparent. So it's the counterbalance to a digital currency or even a dollar. And that's one of the great things about it.
Well, and this sounds like, as we're contemplating some of these likely moves by the federal government, and especially this kind of big brother leftist mentality to do away with privacy and have, digital credit scores and all of these things that are coming together, now is the time to make sure that they are protecting themselves, not just against inflation and some of these issues that are at the fore in mainstream media today, but also looking ahead. And, everyone should be looking ahead, as you always say, to retirement and some of those things that are a natural consequence of aging, but also what we can see coming down the road from a government that is antithetical to our best interests. And so we have to take the opportunity now to make sure that we are protecting ourselves and our financial well-being as much as possible. And so I know that you have advisors there that can look at an individual's portfolio, and they can go to legacypminvestments.com. They can also go download the free investor's guide, call you and talk to someone. And I know personally, just from my conversations with you, you're all very lovely people and you're not scary. I know a lot of people are, if they're not familiar with the economics and they've never really done this, it's difficult to pick up the phone and call somebody. Absolutely. But I know from personal experience that that's been great conversations with you. So what would you encourage people in light of, just their whole economic health with all of these issues? Why should they contact Legacy Precious Metals? And what would you encourage them to do for their financial health at this juncture right now?
Great question. And here's why I'm going to say contact us, right? You're going to be surprised. Like you said, a lot of people are hesitant. I promise you. And if you do call us and someone makes you feel like this wasn't an easy process, call back, tell the receptionist you want to speak to me. Tell me what your concerns were. We are active in this business. We're active with our clients. It's very important to us. The most important thing we have is customer service. So call. Don't be afraid. You're going to be surprised how easy and how comfortable we make the conversation. There's no pressure. We're going to show you options. The decision's up to you. We believe in the intelligence of our American people. We believe in the intelligence and the common sense of our peers. Tell us your concerns. We'll show you what options you have. You have the ability to make the right choice. That's first and foremost. Why I would suggest you doing it now? Listen, the recession's coming. Everyone's talking about it. The latest report I read on a council of economists, they're saying there's an 80% chance a big recession happens before the first quarter of next year. We know this is going to happen. Those of us who are paying attention, and a lot of us are, we know that there's a debt ceiling conversation to be had. We know there's inflation. This is the worst of times. But I don't want you to think of that in the worst way. Don't be afraid of it. Know that it's there and know that there's a solution. So that's the good news, right? So we want to take that negative and turn it around and say, we're prepared so we don't have to be afraid anymore. That's why you want to do it now. And, with vesting, it's really important that you dedicate yourself to it and focus on it. Get the answers, make a long-term plan, and you're going to do great. That's the important thing. It really is.
It is. Well, contact legacypminvestments.com and look at all of the options available. And Charles Thorngren, really appreciate you and your partnership with the Salem Podcast Network so that we can, of course, help all of our listeners get the content and the solutions and the providers that they need. And so really appreciate all of your expertise. So go to legacypminvestments.com. Thanks.
Thank you.